Friends, this is what a political party is supposed to do. Voter duplication alleged in Panvel now. Latest revelations in Maharashtra confirm what many already fear. The Election Commission no longer inspires trust. Dramatic, but also in agreement. So, what has happened here is that there is an assembly constituency in near Mumbai called Panvel. Yeah, this is Panvel. Okay, this is Panvel in Navi Mumbai. This is Mumbai. This is Panvel. Look at this. Wonderful. So, in this constituency, in the Maharashtra Assembly elections, there were two main candidates, BJP's Prashant Thakur from Mahayuti and Peasants and Workers Party candidate Balram Patil of MVA. Okay. Now, Balram Patil is a character. I must tell you. Balram Patil is an awesome person. Okay. So, he did an investigation where he has uncovered a total of 85,211 voters registered more than once in the electoral roll. So, duplicate votes. Of these, 25,855 names were in Panvel constituency alone and were present in the roll twice, thrice, or even 4 times. In the neighboring constituency, Uran, Patil's team found 27,000 voter names. Similarly, there were 16,000 names in Airoli constituency roll. In Belapur, another neighboring constituency, found 15,000 voters who were found listed in the Panvel roll also. In addition, 588 names were marked as dubious. 85,211 names had been duplicated. Again, 85,211 names have been duplicated. The interesting thing about this story is the way he found this out. Okay, chat, if you have been watching this stream, if you have been watching this channel for a while, you know I fought elections and I have explained all the procedure of, you know, how voter lists are made, how BLAs are assigned and what is the job of a BLA and all the things, right? So I'm just going to do a quick recap. But there are these things called booth level agents, right? Every party, every candidate actually can assign a booth level agent to sit at the booth when the election is actually happening. They have access to inside jaake, they can check what is going on. They can do random checks. They're just there. They are the party people who are present during voting. So every candidate who is on the list, who is on the ballot, is allowed to keep a booth level agent, 1 or 2, in the place that the polling booth. Booth level agents also have somewhat of a power of attorney. So they can take decisions on the behalf of the candidate also, when it comes to like elections also. Again, that's a very complicated thing, not going into that. But what happens is that these BLAs, their job is to make sure that their party people, the people they know will vote for their party, reach the booth, right? And then they have like this list which they tick mark, and then when the people they see going in, they're ticking their names, because these are people who are familiar with the voters in the area in that particular booth. Now, BJP is really strong with this network, and another party which is very strong is CPM. They also have a very strong network of this. And from the looks of it, Balram Patil, who comes from the Peasants and Workers Party, also has a very strong BLA network. Okay, this is the background. He has a lot of BLAs who were present during the Maharashtra elections, and they were able to collect a lot of information. This is what I have been saying. What Rahul Gandhi did is a post facto analysis of what happened in Mahadevpura constituency, right? They had to go through the 6 feet stack of papers, etc. What Balram Patil did though, he did a real-time analysis when the elections are going on. Just that nobody gave a shit. Yeah. So Balram Patil found out before the elections that this is happening, that something shady is going on. Okay. He did an analysis later because of his BLAs. Let me show you. Okay, as a part of the investigation, Patil sought a copy of the electoral rolls of every single booth, the marked list used by government representatives at the booth. He asked for this on December 13th, 2024 from the SDO of Panvel. Okay, so what that means is that when a voter is going in, right? I don't know how many of you have voted. If you voted, you know there are these people who are sitting right before you go to vote who are tick marking a list, right? So BLAs are allowed to be present there also, right? What he was asking for is a copy of the electoral roll of every single booth and marked list used by government representatives of the booths, right? That is also evidence. Like, it just shows that a person showed up and voted, right? So many people voted, so you remember this, right? Also, Shakun Rani's screenshot, if you remember from Rahul Gandhi's press conference. Remember how two Shakun Ranis had tick marks beside it? That is what he asked for. That is the mark list used by government employees, right? And that is also evidence in the whole process. He asked on December 13th. SDO replied that data could not be shared without court order. This is extremely shady. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. A candidate is asking within time limit for evidence and he's like, court order lao. Okay. But also Patil asked for the same data from Belapur, Airoli, Uran from the SDOs as well and from district collectors of Raigad. So not just one. He did not receive data from Uran, Airoli or Belapur either. But Patil did not stop there. He asked all of his BLAs to submit the electoral rolls they had marked during voting. Okay, so BLAs are inside the thing also. And as I said, they are ultra vigilant sometimes when they are ordered to be. And they have marked who has voted, who has not, and they have their own lists ready, right? So he had asked his BLAs to do the marking and he collected all of those. And there were 574 booths, which means double of that would be the booth level agents. See, that's why it's so difficult. So there would be, I guess, 1,000 odd BLAs that Patil would have. Balram's team started working on every single booth. Till today, they have completed 490 booths. System they use is this. Okay. This is how they did it. They feed the data of every booth into an Excel sheet and search for duplication. Through this process, they found a total of 11,628 votes that had been cast 2 or more times. This is insane. Look at this. 11,628 votes which had been cast 2 times. That is what you find. That is the Shakun Rani thing. Remember, chat, you remember, right? I had screamed when they showed that Shakun Rani and those 2 ticks. That is why I was screaming, because this is possible. This is actually possible. I'm so glad Patil did. Dude, that is why I say this man is a legend. Okay. Insane. Like, this man saw it coming. He saw shadiness is happening in my constituency. I need to be hyper vigilant. My BLAs are going to collect all the evidence while this is going on. And I'm going to screw them over. And that is exactly what he's doing. I love this. I have to say something. Friends, this is what a political party is supposed to do. Congress, no complaints about, like whatever they are doing right now. This is what Congress, Shiv Sena, UBT, for example, UBT specifically, and other Mahavikas Aghadi people should have done. They have an insane amount of booth level agents everywhere. They could have done this in every constituency of Maharashtra when it was going on. They didn't. And now the election commission is getting a sort of like a get out of jail free card almost. Which is like, oh, koi evidence to nahi hai tumhare paas. This man actually has evidence. Actually. Now imagine this. This is a model. This man right here is sending a message to everyone. Balram Patil, every party in Bihar. That guys, in Bihar, you need to do this for every booth. if you want to prevent vote chori in its very real sense, the BLAs have to be hyper vigilant. And after they are hyper vigilant, because the election commission refuses to give like aggregate data, this is the kind of shit you have to do, which is like, itne sare 500 plus BLAs hai who are collecting their own lists. They are bringing it together. Then some data entry people are sitting there feeding the list frantically, checking whether they have voted or not, and then finding out duplication. Like, this is the kind of results you get, right? For example, Pradeep Poraji, 23 years old with Epic ID, voted at booth number 4. Patil's team found that the same Pradeep Poraji, using the same photograph, but now age 22 with a different Epic ID, had voted in booth number 310 as well. How does this happen? How does this happen? Because if Pradeep Poraji, 23-year-old, went to booth level 4 first, you know what would happen? He will be inked. He will be inked. Right? So there can only be two explanations to this. Either the people who were in the booth didn't ink him, so he could go and vote twice. Maybe. Or they put a fake ink on him, which he could just wash off. Then he can go and vote again. Or this guy is legit. He voted once and then someone else went and voted for him with a different ID. There can only be these possibilities. Think about the implication of what is happening here. 11,628 votes have been cast 2 or more times in one assembly constituency. Nuts! And what Balram is saying is that I'm sure that with more than 80 booths to go, the number of multiple voters will cross at least 17,000. He has not even completed the full analysis. He has done 474 booths. It took him a while, as you can imagine. It takes some time to do this data entry and all the things. With his investigation revealing such large-scale duplication of voting, Patil again approached the CEC, Chief Electoral Officer of Maharashtra, as well as the Chief Election Commissioner of India, mailing all the details to the ECI in June. He has not heard back yet. Frankly speaking, I do not have any hope from ECI because my allegation is that this malpractice is being done by the BJP with the active help of the EC. If the ECI remains neutral, it is not possible to do such vote chori. This is daylight robbery of the elections. After his research, Patil appealed to SDO, who also happened to be the returning officer for the election, to delete the duplicated names. The SDO sat on the request for almost 15 days. Then Patil knocked on the doors of the court. So all this thing about election commission saying, "Arey, hamare paas to koi aata hi nahi hai complaints leke," bullshit. The SDO sat on it for 15 days. Did jack shit. He had to go to court. Then he filed a writ petition in September 26 for the names to be deleted. High Court asked the SDO to take the appropriate decisions within 2 weeks. This is before the elections, by the way. All of this happened before the elections. Meanwhile, another development was taking place. Shiv Sena Eknath Shinde MLA Chandrakant Patil had approached the Aurangabad, now Chhatrapati Shivaji Nagar, bench of Bombay High Court with the same demand for his constituency, which falls in Jargaon. However, by now the dates of the assembly elections had been announced. The court now rejected Chandrakant Patil's demand. Since the elections have been declared now, it will not be possible taking into consideration the huge number only from one constituency. The election commission would be in a position to correct the electoral roll. Can you see what is happening? People had complained before the elections. The SDO did not respond. The election commission did not respond. The court said, "Arey, ab kya kar sakte hain? Oh my God, so many people. The election commission should figure this shit out," and did nothing. And as a result, this man lost. Yeah. But he didn't give up. He continued. He was just like, "Ab to main prove karke hi rahega. Prove karke hi rahega." Insane. See, that's why I'm saying, best thing, this man, respect, mad respect, hashtag respect to this man, Balram Patil. Thank you, sir, for doing this, honestly.